PR Connections Radio presents.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Cozy Up and Pay Attention, the Parent Edition. If you're looking at my face, chances are it's Tuesday, 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I have a set of parents who are going to share their love, devotion, and support to 4 of their offspring. And if you would kindly take a deep breath and let it out, I'll be right back.
Cozy Stone is a multi-talented comedian extraordinaire who has a real lust for life. She also combines humor and motivation, where she is known as a humorvational speaker. Her youthful ways and positive light make her a beacon for those of all ages. Cozy has lived a remarkable life that has paved the way for so many. She had the longest running open mic venue of 11 years at Tommy Rockers in Vegas, called Cozy's Comedy Corner, through which she introduced many up-and-coming comedians. Before going into comedy, she was one of the first female personal trainers and one of the top fitness trainers in the world. She has trained many greats such as Billie Jean King, Roberta Flack, Andrew Young, Ed Bradley, CCH Pounder, Al Pacino, and Earl Monroe. As a former competitive bodybuilder, she also owned a bodybuilding gym for women over 40 in Los Angeles for several years. She has worked in top positions for HBO, Playboy, and Tony Robbins. She also enjoys volunteer work, dedicating time to the New York Foundling Hospital and babies with AIDS. Cozy Stone has a message that shouldn't be missed.
Dana, if you would kindly give me my wonderful Jared and Paula Bennett, our guests for today. Hello, folks. Hello again.
Hi, how are you?
I thank you for coming on the show with me. Some of you out there know, and if you don't, I'll say it again. I am a pickleball fanatic. And there are so many wonderful things about pickleball. And I met this family. I didn't meet Paula, but I met Jared, and I believe it was 3 of his children on the pickleball court. They were well-mannered, well-spoken, just a delight. And those are the families that I want to showcase here on my show. And I asked them to be on. And I always like to have couples. So we will separate the questions, or you'll take them as you see fit. Before we get started, I'd love to say that, and you know this, there are plenty of books on the shelf about parenting. There are not a particular book about your 4 children. There's your DNA, it's their DNA. The policies and procedures and protocols that you have in your household aren't particularly listed in the book. So as you said earlier, you're going through it, you're figuring it out, and from what I've seen from my end, you're doing an absolutely fabulous job. This show has nothing to do with parent shaming. I won't have those kids on my show. That's for certain. We all know who they are. You met them, we meet them, and it's okay. They are only like they are because they don't have Jared and Paula for parents. So to get started, I want to find out and tell the audience a little of your background. So Paula, we're going to take you first. You mentioned that you had stepdad and your mom. Do you know, of course you know, where were the both of them born? How old were they when they met and they started their family together?
Sure. So my stepdad and my mom, they met when they were, I believe, about 30 years old. Jared actually knows better with my history, interestingly enough. So Jared, do you want to answer that real quick? Like, I think they were 30, right? They were 30 years old?
They were roughly 30 years old, 28 and 30 years old. Yeah. Her stepdad was born in Vietnam. During the Vietnam War, he was young, and her mother was born in Cambodia and actually gave birth to Paula in a refugee camp in Thailand. And when they met in America in Twin Falls, Idaho, at 28 and 30 years old, and he had a child, she had 2 children, and then they started having children together roughly around that same time. So
right, they went on to have 2 other kids. So I grew up as the oldest of 4 in my family.
Okay. And do I need to ask Paula about your background? Does she know it better?
No, yeah, she knows.
So let's get Jared. Where did they meet? How old were they? And what part of the country did they meet? The four of you.
Okay. So my dad was born in Los Angeles, California. Um, and my mother was born in Fort Smith, Arkansas. My dad came back to live with his grandparents when his parents split up, and then his mother went back to California and left him in Arkansas alone with them. And as a teenager, they met at age 18 and 19 years old. She was already dating a guy, but was on a break with him. Friends reference. They were on a break, and he went on a date with her, and they got married not long after that. And they started having children 1 year after that, and they had 10 kids after that. So,
oh, Dad was a player. Came along.
Hey, you're a player if you have more than one, but Mama was it. Mama was amazing. So
no. Don't try to. Your dad stole the woman from the break. Break doesn't say you're done. All right. So no, it's okay that your dad was a player.
Hey, Dad was the Mac, but Dad knew what Mama was, and he wasn't gonna let her go anywhere. So
good. So he had good choices, just like Issy, and it follows in the family. So now let's get to the two of you. Paula, where did you meet Jared, and how old were you when you first conceived?
So I met Jared in Pocatello, Idaho, going to Idaho State University. And when I first conceived our baby, it's kind of interesting because we actually adopted our oldest. And so we were 23, almost 24 years old when Peter was born.
And let me go back a moment. How long did you date before you got married?
So it's a good thing you're sitting down. Jared and I, our first date was November 1st. We were engaged December 5th and married January 3rd. So within 2 months.
No, listen. My couple last week was the very same thing.
Okay.
And there is nothing that can shock me, and it's fine. There is no judgment on this show from me or anyone else who's watching. Good for you.
Yeah, it was quick.
There are people who date for 10 years, they get married and they're divorced 6 months later. So if you know what you like, you know what you want, you win for it, and God bless both of you. And you just told me earlier, you're almost celebrating 20 years. You knew something was right.
That's right.
So Jared, let me ask you, when you first saw Paula, was she walking on campus? Was she inside the school? So wherever she was, you looked at this beautiful lady and you said, I like her beauty, her brawn, or her brains.
Well, interesting enough, the first time I met her was actually about midnight in her apartment. I got invited back by another friend of theirs that said, hey, we're doing karaoke. And I was singing Hit Me Baby One More Time to these ladies. They all loved me. And this dude walks in the door, and this little Asian girl goes to the back of the room, is talking with this guy. And first thing that pops in my head is, hey, that girl's with me. What are you talking about? What's going on here? And I actually had to pull myself back because I was getting angry and mad that this guy was talking to this girl. And I didn't even know her name. And so I was just like, you can't be getting like this with a girl you don't even know. But it was just how awesome she was. Like, she was funny. She laughed. The guy left. And it took about 2.5 months for her roommates to ask me to go on a blind date with one of their other roommates, which happened to be her on November the 1st. And because I just kept going back to their apartment and could not stop talking to her because she had an amazing personality and was beautiful and athletic, everything. She was just everything I could ever dream of.
Now I have chill bumps. Now I have chill bumps. She walked in the room, you're singing to the other ladies, and you forget them, you key in on this beautiful spirit that walks in, and like your dad, by the way, I want her. See, this is a family thing. It is. That's absolutely fabulous. So, okay, so 2 months before you met and got married, correct?
Yep.
All right. Were you married when you had your first child? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now we're just whatever the process is, you're in the process. So let me ask you, when you were a young girl, Paula, did you grow up with thoughts and dreams of being a mom or having a family?
I did. I was more actually thinking about my career and wanting, growing up in an Asian household. In my specific Asian household, it was brains over bronze. Like it was, go get an education, fend for yourself, so you're not relying on anyone. And so I was focused on that. But then there were moments that, growing up being in the religion, as far as having a family, I definitely, saw myself as a mom eventually. So I did look forward to eventually becoming a mom. So yeah.
And Jared, did you, as you were growing up being a player at 16, 17, yeah, I'm going to call you out. 16, 17, 18, did you say, oh, maybe one day I'd like to have a family and be a father?
Actually, you know what? Paula's my first kiss, first person I ever held hands with. Growing up as a young boy, I always looked forward to the moment I was going to be a parent. People used to tell me I knew how to play because people would come over and play. I wanted to have a family. I used to think, and I tell my kids this, and when I was a teenager, most teenagers are like, this girl's hot. I want to be with her. My thoughts were always, I wonder where she's at. I wonder if she's happy. I look forward to one day getting to meet my future wife. And that was always on my mind because I knew the relationship my parents had. It wasn't perfect, but I knew my parents loved each other. And I looked forward to the moment that I had my wife and we were going to have a family. And so I would always, those nights dreaming about marrying a certain girl, I was always dreaming about the moment I got to meet Paula and what that was going to be like. And so for me, that's where I was. You could say I was a player, but my playing was looking forward to the long term of this girl. She's amazing. I can't wait to meet her, whoever she is. And it ended up being Paula. So I would always think about who she is, where she is. Hopefully she's happy and looking forward to meeting me one day.
Let me tell you what you are. You're a Disney character.
A lot of people say that.
If you keep this up, I'm going to cry and I cannot mess up my mascara. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. So you both want to be parents. You found one another. The unity was perfect. When you found out, and I'm going to go to Paula, because she was the one carrying the baby. Were you, and it applies to both of you because you had this well laid out in your head and lives you wanted to live. So when you hear the news, doctor says you are pregnant, you are with child. Was it fear or fantasy? How did that moment feel, Paula, first?
For me, it was fear. It was like, you think about it and dream about being a parent one day, being a mom one day, and then being told that it's actually happening. I was scared. I was really scared. I was obviously grateful that it was with Jared and that he obviously, you can tell he's an amazing dad, an amazing man. And so I didn't fear of how he would be doing. I feared of how I would raise, being a mom. And so that I would say more fear than anything. And it was just because of just the unknown, like it's really happening.
That's why I asked the question. It's one thing to want it. It's another thing to even plan for it. Planned or unplanned, I think those words are some of the scariest words. You're pregnant. So Jared, were you with her at the doctor's? Did she come home and tell you? When you heard the words, how did you feel?
You know what? I'm going to be honest. There's mixed emotions. And the fear that I had was the fear of I have another life that I have to depend on because I was young. I was 22 years old, finding this out. And for me, I need to make sure I'm grown up. I need to grow up. There's no more me, what I want. It needs to be for the kid and for Paula. And so that was my fear, was how am I going to take care of them? But I was over the top excited. Paula can tell you, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to, have that child and to teach them and help them to grow and know that they have a purpose in life more than just being existent, that they are here.
But again, like I said, I feel like I'm in a Disney movie. Your answers, both of you, is what I want people to hear, or what people may want to consider. Yes, you wanted it, wanted children, you wanted a family. And that's why I like to ask the question. Um, I think the ones who have fantasy are usually really young, uneducated women. They don't come, they can't comprehend what all of this responsibility is, or men. Let me just not say ladies, not just you. And to take that time to sit back and say, oh my goodness, I'm getting ready to be responsible for another human being, is it's not another other. It is to be taken as considered as seriously as you did. So you were living where when you started family? Were you here in Vegas?
No, we were actually up in Idaho when we started our family.
Were there who was your support system? What kind of support did you young new parents have in place? Uh-oh, Paula's smiling.
Go ahead, Jim.
Well, our support system, we were about 2.5 hours to 3 from any family members. And it was actually our church family that helped us to give us support. We, at the time when we were young, there was a couple of young families that had, I guess you could say, teenagers. Paula can confirm this, that they took us under their wing and really helped us at that time. But a lot of our support was, I would call my mom almost every day. Kind of got me in trouble at the beginning of my marriage. But it's one of those things. We had strong families, and we would always talk to our siblings, because I was number 9 out of 10. I had older siblings who would communicate with us. Hey, this is how we did it, and so we were able to kind of like pull from each one of them in different ways, and then our own backgrounds. Like Paula's got amazing parents who have amazing stories of how they came to America, and it wasn't just like my parents. It wasn't perfect, but we learned from them and took all those different ways. And it was just, I think it was the Lord blessing us to have people in our lives that just helped us to grow into who we became and how we became as parents.
Right. And that is what pretty much all new parents need. I don't care if they're 34 or 44. This baby, having this baby, this new little human being, again, they can read all the books on the shelf, but colicky at 4 o'clock in the morning is not, you don't have to book them to say, what do you do? Babysitting, if you need babysitters. In fact, I had pickleball parents on here last week whose story was very similar. They met the similar way you two did. You'll probably meet them. I'll have to tell you who they are after the show. And the church helped them out. They changed their schedules, their work schedule. One worked a day, one. It's something that's so serious. As I said, I say it every week when I do this show. I love doing this show. And what you're sharing, if there's someone out there listening who's pregnant right now and maybe don't have the education or don't have the wherewithal to say, oh, you mean I'm not just going to be changing diapers? No, and changing pink and blue? No. Color of the outfit probably is the last thing that you'll think about when it's said and done. All right, so let's go into both your households for a moment. What were some of the things, and I'm going to put it in a positive way, that Paula, you brought into your marriage, your family, from your parents, from your household, that you're using with your children today?
Well, I would probably say, growing up again in an Asian household, it was strict, and so there were things that were very, especially when it came to education. And so, I grew up with the saying from my parents of an A- is an Asian F. And so, we had high standards in our home. And, I came home one day with a 92 on my paper or on an assignment or a quiz or something. And not that I got in trouble for it, but I was told I could have done better. It's like, it was good, but it's not good enough. Could you have done better? And it's true. I could have studied more and, all that. So I have correlated that into our family and to my kids. Not to say they'll never be enough, but to just let them know that you can always push more and do more and do better. We're still proud of you, obviously, for 92%. And, my kids, I'm still proud of you for doing this or doing that. But, could you have done more? And if you could, please try harder next time. It wasn't like, oh, well, you didn't meet my expectations, like you failed or whatnot. And so I had to find that balance. And thankfully, Jared was a gave me good perspective on that of just, hey, like we still love them and this or that. And so we make a good team. And so I would say that's what I took with me from my youth and from growing up to being a parent myself.
And Jared, I'm going to ask you a different question. What are some of the words of wisdom that that was given to you while you were growing up in your house that you have heard yourself saying to your children as you're raising them today?
Probably for my family is working hard. When I grew up a family of 10, my dad had a job as a teacher principal. My mom ran the family, and we had a gas station. We had a farm. It was about hard work, going and doing hard things, and never be scared to go do the hard things in life. And like Paula said,
there we go. Y'all on cell phone.
The things together of education and hard work, it makes for a successful unit, and not just an individual, but it's referring to the whole family together. We represent ourselves, our family, our community, our religion, our everything. And so those two blended together make for a great team and make great football too.
I will only time I will see your kids on the news is when they get a Nobel Peace Prize. How's that? And a laureate for some kind of a gold medal for pickleball, something of that nature. So let's get to your questions. The first question you chose, whose noise is that? I think that's you, Jared. Are you touching your phone?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not. But if it's me, I'll make sure I'm not touching anything.
Okay. No, it's fine now. It was a little clicking. So the first question, I'm going to do Paula because she can answer. Then I'll switch. The next question will be yours. Did you attend parent-teacher meetings and why?
Yes, priority. You've got to be involved in your child's education, and also it gave a glimpse into what they were like as, because they're a different person at school, and so you guys see what their teachers are saying about them and from their perspective. And so, as a former teacher myself, Jared's a teacher, but I used to teach third grade myself, and the parents that came to parent-teacher conferences, you can tell a huge difference. Those were the students that were successful. I mean, it's the honest truth. I wish I could say different. Does that mean if they didn't have parents come, were they successful? Yeah, there were some, but it was more of an exception than the rule. And so as a third grade teacher, I saw that right away. And so we were definitely involved. We were at every single parent-teacher conference discussing with the teachers, what can we do to help our child, this and that. You've got to be involved, or you do fall behind. You don't know your child. You just don't know them, their whole being, not just the person in your home.
Right. And whether an educator would admit it or not, the parents of the children who come to school, I won't say they give them extra attention, but they definitely give them attention.
Yeah.
Right. They know that these kids are going home to parents who care. If they should decide to have bad behavior, they know they will have to account to their parents. I was doing motivational speaking in the schools before the pandemic. I'm still trying to get in front of kids. And one of the things that I heard in each and every school I went to, and they weren't all lower income, is the parents will not. Because I wanted to do a speaking engagement for the parents. And they said, Cozy, we can arrange it, but we can rest assured they won't come. And parents, if you're listening, you've got to attend. You have to know what's going on with your kid. To say my kid's a good kid and he's out there doing stuff. Well, if he's not in school, I'm sorry, that's a kid's job. What else does a child have to do? I never played hooky a day of my life because I couldn't figure out what else was I supposed to do if I didn't go to school. And I mean that. So that was my job. And so I tell the kids when I'm in front of them, this is your job. Your parents are out working. They're paying mortgage. They're paying car insurance. They're taking care of you. They're feeding you. They're giving you that expensive phone that you maybe earn or don't earn. But the reality is, this is your job. So, Jared, your next question, the question I'm going to ask you, your thoughts. Oh, yeah, I like that I changed these. The thoughts on cleaning room. You already talked about education. So let's talk about Cleaning room and respect. What are your views on that for your 4 children?
Did you say cleaning rooms?
Mm-hmm. Do your kids
And
have to clean their rooms?
oh yes, in fact, all of our kids do their own laundry, and they've been doing that since they were roughly 8 to 10 years old. I taught my boys when they were 10 years old how to iron their white shirts to go to church. They do it's one of those things. They have a chores list that they go through. There's daily and weekly, and we do a deep clean once a month. But it's one of those things. I grew up in a household just like Paula. You took care of business. No one's at any moment something could happen and you need to step up and you need to know how to do these things. And people can't just sit there and say, well, I don't know. No, you do know. And you're never too young to start learning to clean and do work. I was cleaning a bathroom at the age of 6 to 8 years old, stocking shelves at my parents' gas station. So for Paul and I, we discussed it. It's like, no, our kids, they're going to be a part of our family. They need to know that it's not just you give your 10% or 15, it's you give 100% to your home. And so tying that to respect is, we respect our home. This is not just Paul and I's home. This is their home and where they're cultivating their life and who they are going to become one day. And we hope that their home, they learn from us like we did from our parents. Your home is where your kids need to learn to grow more than just at school. Because if they're just learning at school and growing at school and learning respect there, they're missing from the greatest teachers they have, and that's us. And so my kids and all of us together, our kids have their chores and they clean their own rooms. They do their own laundry. They wash their own dishes and mop the floors, clean the toilets. And like I said, I tell them all the time, I cleaned toilets from the time I was 6 till I was 20 years old at a gas station. It's not going to hurt you to clean your own toilet.
That's right. So you do not have entitled children.
That doesn't mean they didn't have entitlement in their own way, but they try to push it.
Well,
But, we try to bring them back in and let them know, hey, you want this?
That's because their friends don't have to do those things. Honestly.
Right.
That's right. And
we hear that. My friend doesn't have to do that. Well, This is not your friend's home.
That's what I had. One of my family members said to his daughter, she doesn't live here. This is not a democracy. That's exactly. So that's when I mentioned earlier that one of the largest challenges among many in today's generation and culture is the other children. And we had it. I mean, I'm older than you guys. I had it as well, but not at the extent that it is today. The next question is, and you sort of hit on all of these. I'm going to ask you, what did you do to encourage success? So we talked about chores, we talked about educational expectation. Let's talk about social skills and developing good relationships. Paula, take one or the other, and then Jared will take the other.
So either social skills or developing good relationships?
Yes.
All right. So I will go ahead and take social skills. I feel like, although Jared would be on par with this one 100%, but with social skills, I think the best thing is modeling behavior. We showed our children, we go to a lot of social activities. We're heavily involved in church, our church family and stuff. And so we're always out. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, I think because of that, a lot of kids became sheltered. And so they lost some social skills. They lost some friendships that, are just, and it's unfortunate. And you see the effects that COVID had, unfortunately. But for us, we bring our kids out. We don't just stay home, so we are out there in activities. Pickleball, number one right there for us. It's, granted, it's a lot of, it's adults playing and this and that, but our kids, we're like, let's get you guys good. So you're playing with the adults, and let's, even if you're good or not, you're still out there, you've got to talk to people. And so, we teach them to be involved, to show your face, to get out there. Don't just be behind a computer or a gaming system or your phones and stuff. You've got to develop those social skills to be fun. And and life's more fun when you're social, and so we try to show them that as well, just to be out there, have fun and live life, with people, because we are with people.
And your answer actually took care of what I was going to ask Jared. So let's get to the next question, because I'm also looking at the time and I want to be respectful to you both. We almost so covered this next one. Things you taught your child: respect, thankfulness. Oh, let's have Jared, this is for you. Let's talk about thankfulness or honesty? 12 to 18-year-olds, honesty. Teenagers, where are you with honesty?
You know, with honesty for our kids, like one of the things that we keep telling them is when people can trust you, they can trust you with more opportunities to grow and to do things and be active in their lives. And so when people start to not trust you in their life and with things that they hold dear and precious to them, you're not going to have that. And so like in the future, they're going to have a job. And we always talk to them like, in this situation, you didn't necessarily lie, but you didn't tell the whole truth. Think about what you're setting a precedence for when you have an employer or you have a spouse, when you're like, yeah, I got off roughly 6 o'clock. Well, you got off at 5 and you went to do something else and then you came home. Or your boss asked you if you did a job and you're like, yeah, I did it, but you didn't take the trash completely out to the trash bin. You left it out by the back door, then it gets torn up. And then, you know, there's different degrees of honesty, and you want to be completely honest so that when someone comes to you one day and says, hey, you know, I need you for this, they can be assured that you're going to do that. My dad always told me the story as a kid about a little snake that was up in the mountain with the little Indian boy, and the Indian boy is like, you're going to bite me. And the snake's like, no, take me down. I'm freezing. I don't want to die. And he's like, I promise I won't. I'm honest. I won't. And so finally the boy picks up the snake and wraps him around, takes him down the mountain. And as soon as he lets him down, the snake bites me. And the moral of the story is, you knew what I was when you picked me up.
Yes.
And we want our kids to understand and know that when people pick you up, they honestly know who you are, and they know the character of who you are and what you're going to do for them and how you can help them. So
I think you guys should start a little town. I'm sitting here getting and again, what I'm so elated and just my heart is just spinning inside. I knew you guys existed, you kind of parents, those who have been on this show. I know they were out there. And to have them here on this show and to listen to not only just my gut, I did follow my gut, and my gut is 99% right. And so is yours, by the way. I trust it more than almost anything in my being. If my gut says, and oh my goodness. Okay, last question. Individually, Paula, what makes you happy as a parent?
You know, what makes me happy as a parent is watching my child succeed, of watching them come to who they are at each individual step, at each individual choice that they make, and that smile on their face that they are happy with themselves, that they are enough. A lot of these kids these days are it's just sad, our suicide rate, with the youth and stuff. It's just, the reason why they don't feel like they can't go on with life anymore is because they don't feel like they're enough. And so, sorry, I'm getting emotional here.
Hey, yeah, I'm telling you guys make me cry. I'm going to find one before I scare you. I'm not going to be pretty. And you stop, Jared. What makes you happy as a parent?
I'm going to piggyback off of Paula, but I'm going to add a twist to it. Is I've made mistakes in my life. My wife has. Our parents have. For me, knowing my kids have made a mistake, but learning to come from those mistakes and make the right decision afterwards, it's the most gratifying thing that I can help them through, because life isn't perfect. We don't make perfect choices. I haven't made the best choices. I know it sounds like on here I probably made great choices and I'm a perfect parent or dad or husband. I'm not. No. But yeah. I want my kids to know that I've come from making mistakes, and I've come from them and built who I am, and that no matter the problems in their life, they can come back from it. And we have a turning point in our life where we can make the choices to do right, to be right, even though we have made mistakes. Right. And I think Paula can agree with this. The hardest thing is seeing our kids make mistakes, but the most gratifying is when we see them come back from those mistakes and they make the right choices, and gives us chill bumps and happy, and like, it's the greatest feeling in the world. So that for me, that's it.
It's also confirming and solidifying that you're doing a good job. That's what that says. And one of the things among many that I say to the children, I'm in the front of them, do you know why your parents know you're going ready to make that mistake, or you're getting ready to do something they've asked you not to do? Because at one point they were you. You were children. You, as you said, there's no perfect anything. If you're not walking on water or separating it, I'm not impressed. And that means we're just, and the person says they are, they lie. That means we're just all human beings. And the best thing for me is to learn from mistakes. You don't keep repeating it, you've learned from it. It's okay to make it. So now where do you go from this point forward? I like that about my own life. It's because I don't like pain. And what you find when you keep creating the same situations, not just insanity, it's painful. And I like to say there are two kind of people in this world: people who like pain and people who like pleasure. And I say to my friends all the time, look at your life. You know who you are.
Mhm.
Same thing, you do the same thing, same friends, same food, same whatever, same job, whatever it is. If you're dissatisfied constantly, you like pain.
Mhm.
It's a hard thing to say, but it's a reality. Let's get your fun question. And again, because you didn't give me, you gave me one, I'm going to ask both of you. So, Paula, same question. How would your friends describe you?
I actually talked to my friend up in Utah when I saw the questions
You
there, and I
ask
was like,
someone, you're not supposed to ask. I'm teasing. Go ahead.
I know,
Go
I
ahead, go
cheated,
ahead.
I cheated,
So I'm teasing you. How
but
did she describe you?
she, it's determined. She's like, you are, determined, loyal, smart. Um, let's see here, just
Did you write
driven.
it down? Are you looking? I
No,
want
I
to
don't have
see it.
anything written down. No,
Okay.
nothing written down. But yeah, so it was one of those things. I was like, she said, just determined. It's so true. Real quick example was I wanted to be a police officer. I didn't know that I wanted to be a police officer, but I wanted to be a police officer. And one of the standards is doing 30 sit-ups in a minute. And I had 3 C-sections. My abdominal muscle was shot, and so I was only able to do 5
Okay.
initially. And so within 2 months, I was able to pass the academy and do 30 sit-ups in a minute. So it's that drive, that determination, that I hope that I have passed on to my kids as well. So
All right. Well, I'm gonna make a joke. That's only what one friend thought of you. I wanted to know what they were.
what all Jared could tell you.
No, no, Jared, no, no. Jared, how would your friends describe you?
Do you want to give me any? I want you to give me a different question than her. Give me any of
Do?
those on there. I want a different one.
Okay, okay, good. I like that. Oh, here's a fun one. What cartoon character would you like to be for a week, Jared?
Ooh, what cartoon character would you like to be for a week? Ooh. Does that have to be cartoon or could it be any character?
Don't change my question. It's my show.
I like that.
I know.
Wait. I'll give you another one though. It's similar but different. Tell me the best 3 things about you.
Okay. Best 3 things about me
Mhm.
is my family, number one. That's the best thing, is my family. Like, who I am is because of my parents and my siblings growing up, but also because of the person I married and my children and how well they've helped me become who I am. The second best thing about me is
Go ahead.
my love for my Savior.
Okay.
I'm a very religious guy. I'm not a scriptorian, but I know who I am. I know where I came from. I know where I'm going. I've known that for a long time in my life. I have purpose in who I am. And the last thing that's great about me is I love to play. Every
Okay.
day of my life, I love to play. That's why I'm a PE teacher. I love
Okay.
to play. That is it.
Oh, fabulous. All right. I'm glad you asked me to switch. You both have been, um, and I'll tell you, this is the truth, and I don't blow smoke, by the way. You don't know me well, but trust me when I tell you this. Every week I hang out, I get on the phone get off with Dana, and I say, God, was that my best show? I kid you not. And I'm saying the same thing. Is this my best show? I'm having so many great shows. Everything that you have offered during this time that we've spent together has been beneficial for mankind, beneficial for society. The fact that you have taken your jobs so seriously, and I believe being a parent has got to be the number one most important job in the world. You don't need a title. Parent is a title. Mom is a title. Dad is a title. It is a CEO. You are president of your household, and you guys have taken this opportunity and made it the best. Are making it. I'm ready to move in, and I'm fully grown.
Come on in.
Come on in.
I'm already grown, but
You can add to the family.
well, I'm funny.
You'll fit right in.
I'm funny. I'm a neat freak, so I clean. But folks who watched and will watch this show, here are two adults that got together at first sight, if you will. Jared went for it, conquered his beauty. Disneyland, I tell you, I swear I still feel like I'm Disneyland. 20 years later, they've got four wonderful teenagers that they are creating, molding, educating, honoring, developing for tomorrow. I think I met three of the four. And I remember standing there talking for one reason. I remember your daughter, and it's the eye contact. Pickleball. I've met so many wonderful children on the pickleball court. So I've been off the court for 9 months. As I said, I went back last Monday, and some of them were playing on the other side. And they came by and they stopped and they talked to me. And it's so heartwarming for these kids to have just, I don't care about accepting me. They like me. I talk to them as adults or as respectful young people. I ask about their parents. I ask about their games. I stand and I watch them. And I don't think you can come to a pickleball court and misbehave. If you do, you can't do it around me. I will not let anybody's kid come on a pickleball court with ugly behavior. They'll have to curse me out because I'm going to tell that kid get off the court, kind of thing. But I'm grateful. That's one of the things I like about me. I'm very grateful, and I'm appreciative of good people. I like yourselves. I believe in the man above. He has made me who I am today, along with the background that my mom and my family gave me. And all we can do as a society is to thank Jared and Paula Bennett for doing their jobs. Continue to, I don't have to tell you that. I wish you all the best. I will never beat any of you playing pickleball. So when I'm on the court, be kind to me. Tell your kids I said be kind to me. I'm a senior with bad knees and slow reflexes. I just want to play. I don't care about winning. And that's
you know what? You make it fun for the kids there. That's one of the things I've noticed from the very moment I met you is the kids feel open to you because you're open to them, and more adults that are more open to kids and realize that they are human,
right,
that they're not just objects that take up space,
nope,
that they one day will become instrumental individuals in the community, which you see that in my kids. You know, I still remember one of the first times we met, kids were not able to play on some courts. And so you're just like, play on my court. And my kids got to play. And it was amazing. So thank you for what you do for our community.
Well, thank you. I am going to run to my next appointment. I hope to, when are you out there? Paul, I've never seen you out there. When do you play?
So I play early morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm usually out playing with a group at my friend's place.
Oh, okay. So you're not in Sunset. But before I go, here's the other thing. I would like you both and anyone listening to go on Amazon and purchase Cozyisms, The Art of Paying Attention. These are one-liners. It's not a novel. They are quick-witted, whimsical, cozy personalities inside these books. You can read the same thing every day and get a different meaning from it. There's also art in here from two of my friends who are fabulous artists, and a piece of art accompanies each cozyism. So again, self-published on Amazon. I will, folks who are listening and will be listening, the show is growing in audience, and I'm very proud of that. I like to say at the end of every show, parents I have on here and will have on here, sometimes when we know better, we do better. And I'll see you on the court. Have a good evening.